listening to Enlivening Musings, a podcast to enhance your life so you live fully alive. Sponsored by the Pleasure Fairy app. Download it for more support. Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Katie.
And today we're talking about loving on our bodies.
Yes.
Who needs more of that?
Everybody. Men and women.
Yes.
I hear it all the time. It makes me think like all the time, in my practice, because I'm seeing bodies all the time. And, I'm like, okay, let's, go into shorts and a tank top or brown underwear or whatever. And I would say like almost 100% of people, and 99.9 make some comment of almost like apologetic for me having to like see their body. And I do treat men, but like most of my practice is women. So I was like, man, is this just a woman thing? And then I asked my husband, I'm like, do men like sit and talk about that or feel that way? And he was like, yeah, men feel that way too. And I was like, okay. Cause I just thought maybe it was just like only women are feeling so ashamed of their bodies. And it's interesting being on the other side because feeling like when I work on bodies and like, they're also beautiful. And I'm not just saying that, but even like, I know some women who might feel self-conscious about like the softness in certain areas. Like it feels so like nice. Like it's so feminine. I don't know. I just had a moment when I was working on someone and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I hope they love their body because it was just so beautiful. And it just reminded me of just like the, that more older artwork that's like so just like voluptuous women. Like, so I think it's a good thing. I wish more people could see real bodies, see each other's real bodies and not Photoshop because no one looks that way. Maybe when you're 20.
Right. Well, and even then, I follow some really great Instagram people. I can't think of like their handles right now, but one of them, she, I think, is in her 20s and she still shows how much like postures change everything.
Yes.
Her entire Instagram is that. It's like, this is this pose this way. This is this pose this way. This is this is this. And then like even zooming in on her skin and being able to see pores or her hair or like all these different things. It's so prevalent. And definitely with like the Photoshop realm of everything and when that all really took off and changed everything and just all of it. It's like, I heard this poem the other day too, on Instagram. Gosh, I don't remember her handle either. Maybe I'll find them and put them in the show notes or something, boost these people's Instagrams as if they need it. But anyway, they've got it. They're flying. They're sharing awesome with the world. But that poem was just like something along the lines of thick, skinny, this, that. And it just went on and on and on about how like no matter what you look like, it sucks, based on these perceptions and how instead we are really needing to accept the way we each look and like there's no right way to look. We are here to look different, to be different, and to like just totally fall in love with ourselves and love it and love on it. And the body is so magical. And when you're talking about working with people, for me, and again, it's like, I'm not just saying this. When I'm working on them, I'm just like loving them. It's like beaming love and appreciation and all of that stuff into all of these tissues and all of these cells and just making it so amazing. So with all of that, my own body journeys, like I've had, what else? I saw something else the other day and it was talking about how like almost like 90% or something like that of the population does suffer from like body dysmorphia. And like really just looking at their body and thinking it looks a different way and or not being in touch with the way it looks and not loving the way it looks to that degree. They were utilizing the definition in that way. And there were, and then there's the prevalence of like eating disorders and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just so rich how much this one thing, this one topic of loving these vessels that we're in can just change everything. And doing the embodiment work to me has just been so much the it, you know, because you are using your body. You're not just dealing with your mind. You are bringing that connection in to the body. And so, okay, rewind back to what I started saying before I went on my own little tangent. But like, my own body has morphed so many times. You know, it morphed through like my early 20s. There was a period where I like gained weight and was like really kerfuffled by that because like I had never done that before. And then the second I loved, like I was like, okay, you know what? My only choice here is to love this. And I started loving it. I'm just like, sweet, my thighs are so much bigger. My like all this stuff. And like, I lost all the weight, like in like a week or something crazy. It was just like, what? And I don't remember changing anything except for loving it. Like I just like loved it. And then it all changed. And so now I was back to like my normal size. And then that was like, I'm like, I was liking that, you know, like what? So now I'm back here. And so then I had to do it all over again. And like you be like, okay, well, I guess this is where I'm going to be at. And this is how my body's going to look. So falling in love with myself all over again at that phase. And that was all in my early 20s. So then you have to fast forward to becoming a mother and how much the body changes in that way. And just like the whole journey of that. I mean, for me, it was like decades because it was like pregnancy, breastfeeding that whole time, then another pregnancy and breastfeeding that whole time, then another pregnancy and breastfeeding, you know? And so not until, I don't remember what it was then, 13 years or something later. I don't remember how long. Was it 15 years? I don't remember. But breastfeeding or pregnant, right? And so then finally being done with that whole phase and then how my body's changing. And then now Katie's known I've done like some stuff getting the acid toxicities out of my body. And now my body is changing again. And so it's just like, it's something we all need. Like we all need this all the time, being able to really love ourselves where we're at today. And then knowing that our body can morph and continuing to love ourselves as the body morphs through any of those changes. Aging's another thing that people, right?
Yeah.
So with that, I will share with everyone, I'm going to be doing a body love course that will be added to my Fall in Love with You course. So if you're in my Fall in Love with You course already, and that's on the Pleasure Fairy app, if you're already in that course, you'll get instant access to this without having to pay anything more or anything like that. Otherwise, I'm going to host that sometime in September. So if you're interested and you want to go on this little body love journey with me, you know, hop on the Pleasure Fairy app. You can just stay in, you know, the free content, free access, and you'll be alerted to it when I do it, I think in September.
That sounds awesome. I just have to say too, whenever I've done some of this work with Crystal, it's always been really powerful. And especially being in a container with other women to have their support has been so helpful because everyone can share their little nuggets of wisdom or things they've overcome or things they're still struggling with. And I still think back to those moments from some of the other classes, like when we did the Jade Egg, and how it was just so nice to know I wasn't alone in some of the things I was feeling and just have the support to fall in love with myself more. And like, it takes like some vulnerability, number one, and then some bravery, you know, in a way, because I mean, the quote unquote world doesn't want us to love ourselves, right? Because then we wouldn't be the consumers of everything to try to fix it.
Right. Absolutely.
So it does take some courage, and then just having the support of other people that are on that same journey of like, we're just going to love ourselves. I don't know. It just changes things. It's that magical thing. Then you look in the mirror and you're like, you know what? I am great and I am beautiful just the way I am, and all these changes that happen along the way. We can still look back at those pictures from maybe 10 years ago and be like, oh,
Yeah.
but I wasn't in love with myself then necessarily either, right? There was always something then too. So maybe even just using that as something to remember. Just embracing the moment. Like people always say, take a picture today. You're never going to look any younger or any better.
Well, that's the thing that I saw that even recently too in some other social groups and things was, I didn't like the way my body looked 6 years ago. And now I look back at those pictures and
I know.
I wish I could go back to that and how crazy that is. And so that's exactly it. It's like we want to love ourselves where we are today. And it doesn't matter how old you are,
Yeah.
Like this can be for anybody who's in their teens all the way to being 110, It's like love yourself where you are today because that's where the magic is. And it is sad that that's a radical thing.
I know. It is though. It is, isn't it? I know. It's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we know that so many of you out there listening probably have somewhere where you're like, oh, great, I could love that, but I won't love that. And so that's the piece. That's what we're going to go into and everything with that too. It's like loving all of those parts that we have thought are unlovable. And what's neat is when we do that with our body, it translates. So it comes into the other stuff too, like where our traits and things like that, the more we're like learning about ourselves and falling in love with ourselves, it's like it ties into everything. And it's not just about the body at that point either. It's about like, oh, I have this quirk that da-da-da-da-da. And maybe somebody one day told me it was annoying and or whatever it is. And so it's like, it translates into that where you can just really love yourself so completely. And I mean, just who doesn't want that?
I know. It makes me feel all a certain way just even listening to that. And just knowing, like, I think we've all been there and we all have those parts that we just think there's no way we could ever love and appreciate them, but it is possible. Yeah. And then in addition to loving yourself, you start to just love and accept everyone else for where they're at too. Yeah. That's the magic I've been noticing in my life is just that overflowing. The less, it's like they say, the less you judge yourself, the less you'll judge others, which just makes for a happier world.
Yeah, 1,000%. Mini clap, mini clap, 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 clap.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Let's all love ourselves more. Let's all jump onto Crystal's class.
Yes. And tell us, what are you doing? What have you done?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing right now that is already helping you really appreciate and love either parts of yourself or your body or whatever it is for you? Or what's something that you loved in the past where like this experience just blew me away because it helped me completely fall in love with ... Because we love hearing those stories from you too.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us. You can find us on Instagram @EnliveningMusings. Connect with Crystal on her app Pleasure Fairy. Connect with Katie on her website wellnesswithkatie.com. Enjoy.